Revealed, how I found a hidden, life-changing love after my daughter-in-law's incredible Christmas surprise. Mark Palmer had built a life filled with love alongside his beloved wife, Ellen. Christmas used to fill their small hardware store with laughter and warmth, but that all changed the day he received the news that left his heart shattered. Walking through the aisles alone, the festive lights hung like unlit candles, casting shadows over his memories. Loneliness wrapped around him like a heavy winter coat, smothering any joy that might have flickered within. The snow outside danced against the darkening sky, but inside, Mark felt only the bitterness of loss. Then came the invitation from Jacob and Sarah, a lifeline tossed into his sea of sorrow. The annual family gathering, once the highlight of his year, now felt more like an obligation. Mark could already sense the tension that simmered beneath the surface, Jacob's corporate life pulling him away from family ties that were so important to Mark. It was as if he was shouting into a void. Despite the admiration he received in Maplewood, the people who saw him really saw him felt few and far between. As the evening approached, he donned his old red sweater, a relic from days gone by, and trudged to his son's house. The air was thick with anticipation, the scent of cinnamon and pine swirling around him like a warm embrace. When he arrived, those cherished traditions erupted, laughter echoed through the rooms, children darted about, and stories were shared with a sense of belonging that tugged at his heart. Then, the unexpected happened. Sarah's scream cut through the joyful noise like a knife. Panic flooded Mark's chest as he rushed to her side. There was no time for fear as he steadied her breathing, handing Jacob the phone to call for help. The labor pains were hard and fast, and amidst the chaos, something sparked within him, a flicker of purpose. In that moment, Mark felt alive again. As Sarah battled through immense pain, his focus narrowed. He whispered reassurances, grounding her with each breath. But when he glanced outside, he caught sight of Eleanor, their new neighbor, standing on her porch, appearing lost in thought. Something in her eyes drew him, igniting a flicker of something he thought he'd never feel again. "Hey, you alright?" he called. The shared vulnerability between them was electric. "Just trying to keep it together," she replied, her voice hauntingly familiar. Before they could delve deeper into conversation, another yell from inside reminded Mark of his duty. Yet, he couldn't shake the latent connection they shared. As laughter and cries enveloped them, whispers from the townsfolk began to punctuate the air, judgment laced within their hasty glances at Eleanor. Mark's protector instincts flared. "Enough," he found himself saying, his voice booming above the noise. "We all need a little compassion, especially now." He looked back at Eleanor, and their eyes met with understanding. In that moment, the weight of everyone else's opinions felt lighter. As the night pressed on, he found himself caught between the echoes of the past and the allure of the present. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." Yet, as the evening wore on, doubt crept in. Was it fair to honor Ellen's memory while exploring the potential of a new relationship with Eleanor? How would Jacob react if he knew about these growing feelings, the ones Mark thought he'd buried deep? The fear nestled like ice in his chest, waiting for the opportune moment to strike. The night lingered, full of unresolved feelings and unspoken words, and just as he took a deep breath to confront his swirling emotions, the phone rang, shattering the fragile silence. What did that call contain? Answers or more questions? Would it bring clarity or confusion? Mark stood there, heart pounding, waiting for the next twist in this unexpected turn of events. Mark's heart raced as he reached for the phone. It felt as if the world around him had faded, leaving the ringing echoing in the chilly winter air. He could hardly breathe, the weight of the moment pressing down on him. Who could be calling at such an hour during the chaos of the night? Hello? He finally answered, trying to keep his voice steady, even as his insides churned with uncertainty. Mr. Palmer. The voice on the other end was smooth but anxious. This is Dr. Stevens from Maplewood General. I have an update about your daughter-in-law. Mark's heart dropped. He could feel his pulse in his ears, a relentless drumbeat of fear. Is everything okay? What is happening? There was a brief pause, a telling silence that made dread blossom in his chest. We're monitoring her progress, but there are some complications. It's nothing we can't handle, but I need you to come to the hospital. It's important. Complications? Mark felt the floor waver beneath him. He exchanged a quick glance with Eleanor, who had moved closer, sensing his distress. She approached him, her face lined with concern. The warmth of their earlier connection paled against the icy grip of worry clenching his heart. Mark? What is wrong? Eleanor whispered, biting her lip, bracing for bad news. He swallowed hard. It's Sarah. They want me at the hospital. Without thinking, he grabbed his coat and rushed out the door. The cold air bit at his face, but he barely noticed. The night was darker now, and the light from the street lamps cast odd shadows on the ground, echoes of his turbulent emotions swirling every direction. Panic drove him forward, urging him to push through whatever might lie ahead. In the car, thoughts tangled in his mind. How would Jacob react if anything went wrong? What if he lost Sarah too? But in a strange way, he found himself grateful for Eleanor's presence earlier, a flicker of hope amid the storm. He remembered her eyes, how they seemed to speak without words. It was a connection that promised warmth even as everything else felt cold. When he arrived at the hospital, the sterile smell was overwhelming. The fluorescent lights buzzed above him, as if they were judging the decisions he'd made in the last few hours. He rushed to the reception desk, desperation leaking into his every word. I'm here for Sarah Palmer. Where is she? The nurse glanced up, her expression unreadable. Room 204, but please be aware I need to see her. He didn't wait for her to finish. Mark hurried down the hall, anxiety swirling with every step. He pushed through the double doors and nearly collapsed when he saw Jacob standing there, worry etched on his face. Dad! Jacob called out, relief flooding his voice, but his eyes danced with fear. They said it's not good. Mark's heart sank further. At that moment, the world outside slipped away. All that existed was the fear in his chest and his son's fearful gaze. They were connected by the anxious bond that held them together in their shared sorrow. As doctors buzzed around the room, Mark felt the weight of his past pressing on him again. The thought of losing another family member consumed him. But in that moment, something shifted deep within, a feeling he couldn't ignore. It was the flicker of something more, something alive beckoning him to hope for a new beginning. Dad, she needs us, Jacob said, breaking through Mark's thoughts. Just then, the doors swung open and a nurse stepped in, a serious look on her face. We need to talk to you both about Sarah's condition. Mark felt his breath catch. What would she say? What would this night hold for them? The air thickened with uncertainty. It was not just about Sarah anymore, it was about lessons learned, bonds tested, and perhaps, the possibility of newfound love. What if there was still a chance for a better future, even amidst the chaos? Could moments of darkness still lead to light? As he stood there, heart racing, he couldn't shake the feeling that everything was about to change. What would the doctor reveal? And would it shatter their world, or might it just hold a glimmer of hope? The nurse's voice pierced through the tension hanging in the air. Mr. Palmer, Jacob, we need you to come with me. Her eyes softened, but the urgency did not fade. Mark's heart thudded painfully in his chest as he exchanged a quick glance with Jacob. They both followed her through the corridor that felt like it stretched for miles. Each step felt heavier, ground by the weight of worry. Boxes of memories flashed through Mark's mind: Sarah's laughter, her determination, how much she loved Jacob. Despair threatened to pull him under, but he pushed it back, focusing instead on the warmth of his son by his side. Jacob's young face, etched with worry, brought him both dread and determination. They reached a small, private room and the nurse ushered them inside. It was quieter here, and a deep breath of antiseptic air filled Mark's lungs, mixing with the anxiety coiling in his abdomen. He could see Sarah lying in the hospital bed, pale and still, the sound of machines providing an unnerving rhythm to the moment. "Is she awake?" Jacob asked, voice trembling slightly as he stepped closer. The nurse checked the monitors, her expression carefully composed. "She is stable for now. The doctor will explain things shortly." Mark could hardly take his eyes off Sarah. He wanted to reach out, to hold her hand and tell her everything would be fine. He approached her bedside slowly, resting his palm on the back of her hand, cold against his skin. "Please come back to us, Sarah," he whispered, willing strength into her fragile form. Jacob stood beside him, fighting back tears. "She is a fighter, Dad. She'll pull through," he said, though Mark could hear the fear lacing his son's voice. They didn't have to wait long before Dr. Stevens entered the room. His demeanor was calm but serious, immediately putting Mark on edge again. "Mr. Palmer, Jacob, thank you for being here. I wish I could deliver better news. Sarah is dealing with some complications due to the pregnancy. We're doing everything we can, but I want you to be prepared for different outcomes." Mark felt the ground shift beneath him as the doctor's words stabbed through the dim light filling the room. "What do you mean? What outcomes?" he demanded, a chill of desperation creeping into his tone. Dr. Stevens adjusted his glasses, his voice steady but kind. "While the situation is serious, we have treatments to manage her health. It's vital that you two help support her. That means being here for her mentally and emotionally. Will she be okay?" Jacob pressed, his fists clenching by his sides. "There is a path forward, but it's going to take a lot of strength from everyone involved," the doctor replied, looking directly at each of them. "Hold on to hope, but prepare for challenges ahead." Silence settled uncomfortably in the room. Hope felt like a small flame, flickering in a strong wind, and both Mark and Jacob struggled to protect it. Just as the weight of despair began to close in again, Eleanor stepped into the room, sensing the heaviness. "Mark, Jacob," her voice was gentle, calming. "I'm here for both of you." Mark glanced at her, grateful for her presence. It felt as if she had come to remind him he wasn't alone. Something shifted within him, a realization that perhaps he didn't have to bear this burden on his own. "Eleanor," Jacob said quietly, "we're scared. We don't know what is going to happen with Sarah." "I know. But fear isn't the answer," she replied, strength filling her words. "We all need to rally around Sarah. Think of the good times, the strength she has shown. Together, we can support her." Their eyes met, and for a brief moment amidst the storm of uncertainty, Mark felt a spark of hope. Perhaps this was how healing began, not just for Sarah but for all of them. As the doctor prepared to leave and the nurse returned to check on Sarah, Mark's mind raced. Could this moment lead to more than just holding on to hope? Was it possible that new beginnings could grow from such darkness? But before he could fully embrace the thoughts swirling in his mind, a loud alarm echoed through the room, startling everyone. The monitors flickered, and a sudden urgency filled the air once more. "Stay here." Dr. Stevens barked as he rushed back inside. Mark's heart dropped again, fear crystallizing in the pit of his stomach. What was happening to Sarah now? As the chaos unfolded around them, Mark could only hold on, praying it wasn't the last chapter of their story, but perhaps a chance for a new direction. Would this night reveal the strength within them, or would the darkness swallow their hope whole? The machines beeped wildly, drowning the room in a haze of alarm. Mark's heart raced as he watched Dr. Stevens spring into action, urgency radiating from the doctor like heat from a fire. Mark felt as though he was sinking, fear wrapping around him like heavy chains. Jacob's face was pale, mirrored panic coloring his eyes as he reached for Mark's hand, squeezing it tightly. Is it her heart? Is it the baby? Mark's voice came out in a strained whisper, each word heavy with dread. Let me assess the situation. Dr. Stevens barked, clearly focused on the task at hand. The nurses swarmed around, adjusting IVs and checking monitors. Mark wished for calm to be restored, but chaos reigned, drowning out all rational thought. In that moment, all Mark could think about was Sarah, how vibrant and full of life she was, how she had lit up every corner of their world with her laughter and spirit. The thought of losing her clawed at his insides like a wild animal. Hadn't they just been discussing hope? Eleanor stepped closer to Jacob, kneeling down to his level. Keep your eyes on your mom. We're going to get through this together, she said, her voice holding an underlying current of strength. Mark appreciated her presence, but all he wanted was answers. The moments felt like an eternity, each second stretching agonizingly long. Finally, Dr. Stevens emerged from the swarm, his expression serious but composed. Mark held his breath, desperately searching the doctor's face for a sign, the slightest hint of reassurance. Sarah's heart rate stabilized. We've addressed the issue, but she is still in critical condition, Dr. Stevens explained. We'll be monitoring her closely. I recommend you stay close by. Mark nodded, relief flooding him momentarily, mixed with an undercurrent of fear that wouldn't let go. He turned back to Sarah, lying there so fragile yet so resilient. Could she feel their love from wherever she was? Jacob stepped forward, his bravery shining through the fear. What can we do for her? He asked. Mark marveled at his son's strength, so similar to Sarah's. Talk to her, Dr. Stevens urged, a gentle encouragement. Your voices will connect her to the world. Tell her stories. Share your love. Mark and Jacob approached the bedside together. Mark rested a hand on Sarah's arm, tenderly stroking her skin. Sarah, we're here. Jacob and I are here. We're not leaving you. You fought harder battles than this one. Mom, I miss you. Jacob whispered as he leaned in closer. Despite his small frame, his words held the weight of a mountain. You've always been the strongest. Just come back to us. For a moment, everything faded. Just the three of them remained, the steady machinery, the sterile room, and the bond that connected them all. Mark's hope flared brighter as he realized they were still a family, even in the face of uncertainty. Suddenly, a flicker of movement caught Mark's eye. Sarah's fingers twitched slightly, just as a nurse walked by. Was it a sign? A response? He held his breath, waiting for another glimpse of life. Did you see that? He gasped, looking at Jacob. I think she. Before Mark could finish, the alarm blared again. Panic washed over him like a tidal wave. What now? Stay calm. Prepare for a pulse check. Dr. Stevens rushed in, ensuring everything was in place. Mark felt helpless, caught in a whirlwind of emotions. Heartache, fear, and flickering hope mixed as he prayed harder than he ever had before. Moments felt like lifetimes, and as chaos erupted again, Mark clung to the belief that Sarah would wake up. Just when he thought he couldn't bear it anymore, the door swung open again. Another doctor, a specialist, stepped in with an air of authority. What is the situation? I've been briefed on Sarah's case. Mark's heart leaped. More help. More answers. But a thought crossed his mind: if only hope wasn't rationed in the hospital. What if it was enough to go around? As Mark watched the doctor's work, he felt something shift inside him. He had spent so much time focusing on the darkness, but perhaps there was still a way to cultivate light. With a deep breath, he reflected on the love that surrounded him, Jacob's strength, Eleanor's support, and Sarah's unwavering spirit. But could they harness that energy in the fight for Sarah's life? And so, as they navigated a storm of uncertainty, would they find a way to unite their strengths to bring her back to them? Or would they be faced with a challenge no one was prepared for? A challenge that might reveal deeper truths about love, family, and the power of hope. The chaos in the room continued its relentless grip, but while the alarms echoed, Mark felt his resolve harden. He squeezed Jacob's small hand in his. "Stay close," he murmured, using all the strength he had. The world felt like it was crumbling, yet he understood that they needed to be each other's pillars right now. Dr. Stevens barked commands, the familiar precision of his voice cutting through the din. The other doctors worked efficiently, their expressions a mixture of determination and focus. Mark watched them, his heart both racing and slowing as he clung to the frail piece of hope that bloomed in him. Sarah was a fighter. How many times had she rallied for him when everything else felt lost? "Mom can't give up. Not now." Jacob's voice cracked, pulling Mark back. He turned to see his son, eyes wide and burning with a fierce tenacity that reminded him so much of Sarah. Mark knelt next to Jacob, his chest swelling with emotions. "She won T. She loves you too much," he said, his voice steady despite the whirlwind around them. "We all love her. And love means fighting." The monitors continued beeping, and Mark willed them to slow down. Just a little. As he reached for Sarah's hand, he felt the chill of her skin, a stark reminder of how fragile life could be. Memories flooded him, their wedding day, the laughter around the dinner table, the way she decomforted him during the roughest days. "Sarah, it's your turn to fight for us now," he whispered, squeezing her fingers gently. Suddenly, Jacob leaned forward. "Mom, if you can hear us, wiggle your toes." His demand was heartfelt, genuine. Mark felt a smile breaking through his worry. He could see the determination in Jacob's face. If their words could reach Sarah, they had to try, right? Eleanor stood close, her hands clasped together, the strength in her silence powerful. "We're right here, Sarah. You're not alone," she added softly. The warmth of her presence wrapped around them like a comforting blanket. The machine's sounds became a rhythmic backdrop to Jacob's voice, his innocence blending seamlessly with hope. "We're planning the biggest birthday party when you get out. Remember how excited you were last summer? Just you and me, making cake, and pizza everywhere." Mark interjected, laughter spilling out even as tears pricked at the corners of his eyes. "You set off the fire alarm trying to bake those cheesy breadsticks." He could feel the energy in the room shift. Time became elastic again. Just then, as if responding to their words, Sarah's fingers twitched more distinctly. Mark's breath caught, and he exchanged a wide-eyed look with Jacob and Eleanor, amazement coursing through them. "Sarah?" Mark breathless, leaning closer. "Can you hear us?" The movement stopped, but the hope that had swirled within him now felt more tangible. Would she fight? Would their love pull her back from the brink? "I'm here, Sarah, and I love you, we all do. Please, just give us a sign," Mark urged, his voice trembling. And then came the sound of laughter, drifting through the doorway, floating forth like a ghost from the world they used to know. It was a group of nurses chatting with one another. "They've just had another miracle patient," one exclaimed. It struck Mark with a new realization. Miracles could happen, couldn't they? Maybe they could be a part of one. Maybe, together, they could be the force that pulled Sarah back. A surge of energy filled the room, and Mark stood. "Let us keep talking to her," he said, his voice stronger now. "We can tell her about everything she's missing. About how we're waiting. About life. We can remind her she's needed here." Mark looked at Jacob and Eleanor, their hope reflected in each other's eyes. The three of them drew closer to Sarah, ready to weave a tapestry of love around her that could transcend any darkness. But little did they know, the problems didn't just lie outside of that room. There were deep-seated secrets that could alter their lives forever, lurking within the shadows of their family's past. As they began to share sweet memories, what unforeseen truths would they uncover? Would hope be enough once more? Mark leaned closer to Sarah, his breath hitching as he watched her face. Her delicate features, usually full of life, were now pale and still, but he could see the faintest hint of color returning to her cheeks. Steeling himself, he decided to dive deeper into the stories they shared, to remind her of the love waiting on the other side of this battle. "Remember that road trip we took to the coast?" he began, his voice soft but full of intent. "You insisted on packing those ridiculous inflatable pool toys just because you thought it would be fun to lounge on the beach with them. I thought you'd have us looking like complete losers." Jacob giggled despite the weight in the air. "Yeah. Dad was such a grump that day. But Mom made it all fun. And she had the best sunblock dance moves ever." Eleanor added, "We'll recreate that trip, you know. Just the three of us. Sunshine, laughter, and maybe that ridiculous dance like nobody else watching. You have to come back for that, Sarah. We need you." There it was again, that flicker of movement. Mark and Jacob exchanged a glance, hearts pounding. It was just a tiny signal, but in that moment, it felt monumental. The air around them buzzed with a renewed sense of possibility. "Can you believe we managed to fit all those toys in the car?" Mark chuckled, memories flooding back like a warm wave. "You packed like we were going for 2 weeks, and we only stayed for 3 days. But by the end, those toys were the highlight. Even the lifeguards joined in. Each shared memory felt like a lifeline, reaching past the walls surrounding Sarah, each word a gentle tug urging her back to them. "Mom!" Jacob suddenly shouted, the excitement in his voice echoing off the sterile hospital walls. "If you're really in there, you have to promise us something. You can't miss my science fair. We built that volcano together. It's going to erupt and everything." The moment hung heavy, punctuated by the rhythm of the machines and the fervent hope in their hearts. A moment later, all at once, the machines began to beat more urgently. Mark's heart sank, anxiety clawing at him. Was it a good sign or a bad one? "Dr. Stevens!" he called out, panic creeping into his voice. The doctor rushed in, his brow furrowed as he assessed the readings. Mark felt multiple gazes on him, they were all waiting, hanging on a precipice of uncertainty. Sarah's heart rate surged then dipped again, but this time Mark didn't look away. "Stay with us," he whispered fiercely, gripping her hand hard, "we're counting on you." As everyone held their breath, the beeping abruptly steadied. Mark's heart raced with mingled relief and hope, locking eyes with Jacob, the two of them forming a silent pact. They weren't done yet, Sarah needed every bit of them now more than ever. "Mom, you have to stay alive for my next birthday party," Jacob shouted again, desperation threading through his words. Mark believed it was working. If love could pull someone back from the edge, they were doing it together. He could feel it, the force of their bond was building. But in the back of his mind, he couldn't shake the feeling that they were not the only ones fighting for Sarah. The secrets lingering in the corners of their past weighed heavily. What if they weren't just fighting for Sarah's life but also for revelations that could change everything they knew? As they continued their hopeful pleas and cherished memories, an unexpected figure stepped into the room, a nurse holding an envelope. "Excuse me," she interrupted, her demeanor serious, "There's something you need to see." Mark's heart dropped. What could it be? And how would it alter everything they fought for? Mark felt a knot tighten in his stomach as he peered at the nurse, the envelope seeming to pulse with meaning. He motioned for her to come closer, mind racing. "What is it?" he managed to ask, his voice barely above a whisper. The nurse exchanged a glance with the doctor before handing it over. "It's for Sarah," she explained softly. Something unexpected came up, something important. Taking the envelope, Mark caught Jacob's eye. The boy's expression flickered between concern and curiosity, as if sensing the gravity of the moment. Eleanor stood by, her hands clasped tightly in front of her, waiting for guidance. Mark's hands trembled as he opened the envelope. Inside was a folded piece of paper, the words neatly typed but impossible to read through the blur of his tears. Each line felt like a stepping stone leading to unknown depths. He unfolded it slowly, as if revealing a sacred secret. "Dear Sarah," he read aloud, the words tumbling out in a mix of urgency and dread. "If you're reading this, it means I couldn't keep my promise to you. I'm so sorry." His voice cracked, and he paused, looking at Jacob, who was now fidgeting impatiently. "Dad, what does it say? Is it about Mom?" Jacob's eyes shined with hope, the weight of caring for his mother mixing dangerously with the fear of loss. "Just give me a second," Mark replied, taking a deep breath to steady himself. He pushed through the trembling in his hands and continued. "And it's true what they say, the past has a way of catching up with us. There are things you don't know, things I never told you because I wanted to protect you. I hope one day, when you're ready, you'll understand. I love you always." Mark felt the words holding more than just love, they held fragments of decisions, of choices made long ago. "Who wrote this?" he murmured, a chill running down his spine. No signature, just a haunting message that echoed with regret. "Can I see?" Jacob asked, peering over. Mark hesitated, then handed him the paper. Jacob's small fingers clutched it tightly. "Mom would never keep something hidden from us," he said defiantly, his voice small yet resolved. Eleanor stood a bit more upright, the determination returning to her gaze. "We need to find out what this means. Whatever it is, it's connected to Sarah, and we owe it to her to understand." Mark's heart surged but stumbled at the same time. He wanted so desperately to protect his family from whatever storm was brewing. But how could they fight what they didn't even know? Maybe it's best if we wait for her to wake up before we dig into this," he suggested, his voice wavering under the tension of the unknown. But Jacob shook his head vigorously. "No. We need to help her. If there is something she didn't tell us, it could be the key." Eleanor began, but the boy's fierce determination silenced her. "They can't tell us anything if we don't give up," he insisted, the hope and fear warring in his eyes. Mark felt the tug of conflicting emotions. He could see the hope in Jacob's eyes, how much he wanted to believe they could bring Sarah back and solve this mystery altogether. The nurse cleared her throat, reminding them of the pressing reality of Sarah's condition. Just then, another commotion outside the room caught their attention. The sound of hurried footsteps and muffled voices swirled into the hospital room, and Mark sensed another shift in the atmosphere. "Stay here," he ordered softly, as he moved towards the door. "Dad, don't!" Jacob shouted, fear clear in his voice. But before Mark could respond, he threw open the door, driven by the instinct to protect. What he faced beyond the threshold would conflict with everything they believed, pulling their family deeper into a fight that could change every single story they had ever told themselves about their lives. And with that, he stepped into the unknown, heart pounding, knowing that whatever lay ahead might unravel everything he thought he knew. What awaited him on the other side? Mark stepped out into the bustling hallway, the clamor of voices cascading over him like crashing waves. His heart raced as he scanned the scene, searching for the source of the commotion. The air felt thick, charged with a mixture of anxiety and urgency. In front of him, a group of nurses rushed past, pushing a stretcher adorned with bright red linens. Mark's breath hitched as he caught a glimpse of the patient lying motionless. It wasn't Sarah. His shoulders relaxed slightly, but only for a moment. The anxiety tightened back around his chest. He turned his attention to the end of the hall, where he spotted two men in dark suits, their faces marred with worry. One of them was pacing, while the other was bent over a phone, speaking in hushed tones that only heightened Mark's unease. "Dad!" Jacob's voice broke through the din. The boy had followed him out into the hallway, his expression torn between fear and determination. "What is going on? What if they're taking Mom to the emergency room?" "I don't know, buddy," Mark said, forcing calm into his voice. He knelt to Jacob's level, grasping his shoulders. "But we need to stay focused. Let us find someone who knows what is happening." Eleanor appeared at his side, her own face etched with concern. "We can't just stand here. If Sarah's connected to whatever's going on, we need answers." Mark nodded, appreciating her resolve despite the swirling dread. He rose, together with Eleanor and Jacob. They approached one of the nurses who had just stepped out of a nearby room. "Excuse me," Mark began, his voice steady but urgent. "Do you know what's happening? Is there something wrong with Sarah?" The nurse paused, her eyes darting to the chaos further down the hall before settling back on Mark. "I can't share too much," she started, her tone professional yet compassionate. "But there's been a complication. The doctor will be here soon." Mark felt the ground shift beneath him. Complication? His heart sank. A complication? He pressed, desperation creeping into his voice. "What do you mean?" Before the nurse could respond, the doctor appeared, his expression serious. Mark felt a chill that seeped into his bones. "Mark," the doctor said, voice low but firm. "We need to talk about Sarah. She requires additional treatment." Jacob's small hand gripped Mark's tightly, fear radiating from him. "What is happening to Mom?" he asked, his voice breaking. "Please," Mark said, trying to project strength, "just tell us the truth. We can handle it." The doctor took a breath, assessing all three of them. "It's about her condition. The surgery didn't go as we hoped. There are unforeseen risks." Mark's mind went blank. Risks? An overwhelming wave of fear pushed against him, threatening to drown out all rational thought. He felt the world tilt, and time seemed to stretch. Eleanor stepped forward, her voice steady yet compassionate. "What are the next steps, doctor? How do we help her? We need to be there for her." As the doctor explained the choices they had to make, options that could lead to hope or despair, the weight of responsibility bore down on Mark. Each word was a reminder that he had to be strong, not just for Sarah, but for Jacob too. He felt his phone buzz in his pocket, a reminder of the text message that had lit up moments before everything began to spiral. Later, he thought, dismissing it. He had more pressing matters. Just then, a figure rushed into the line of sight from the corner of his eye. It was a woman with wild, dark hair, eyes wide with fear and urgency. "Mark?" she called out, and as she got closer, recognition collided with confusion. "Mark, it's me, I'm back." Mark's heart stopped. Who was she? What was she doing here? He was about to ask, but the heat of the moment made words stick in his throat. As she drew nearer, it was clear that this moment could shift everything they had known, for better or worse. "Who are you?" Jacob asked, stepping in front of Mark, his protective instincts flaring. But before anyone could answer, the woman spoke the words that would alter the course of their lives forever. "I'm here about Sarah," she said. "And I have something important to share." At those words, Mark's heart raced anew, the knot in his stomach tightening once more. What revelation could possibly follow? Mark's heart hammered as he processed the woman's words. The chaos of the hospital melted away, and suddenly it was just her, the truth she carried, and the weight of everything they had been through. Jacob clung to his father's side, eyes flicking nervously between Mark and the stranger who had just reappeared in their lives. "Who are you?" Mark repeated, this time with an edge of desperation coloring his tone. The woman drew a shaky breath, her hands trembling at her sides. "I know this seems sudden. My name is Lily, Sarah's sister." A stunned silence enveloped them. Mark's mind raced, trying to remember Sarah ever mentioning a sister, but the blankness of those memories left him feeling vulnerable and lost. "Your sister?" he echoed, glancing at Eleanor, who wore the same mix of surprise and skepticism. "We've never met you." "I know. Sarah and we lost touch a long time ago," Lily said, stepping closer, her voice low and urgent. "But I found out what happened. I was in town, and I heard about the surgery. I had to come back to help." Mark felt the tide of emotions shift within him. Could this woman be a key to understanding the challenges ahead? The doctor's voice echoed in his head, reminding him of the possibilities of hope and despair wrapped together. What do you mean, help? Jacob's voice broke through the heaviness, his small frame still radiating that protective energy. What can you do? Lily knelt down, meeting the boy's gaze at eye level. There's a possibility I can help with Sarah's condition. I've found a treatment that could work, but it requires her to be stabilized first. It's experimental, and I wouldn't suggest it if I didn't believe in it. The words experimental hung in the air like a storm cloud, casting a shadow over the small flicker of hope ignited by her presence. Mark looked at Eleanor, who silently urged him to listen carefully. The stakes were high. Would it be safe? Mark questioned, his protective instincts kicking in. What are the risks? Lily's expression softened, and a flicker of guilt passed through her eyes. I'm not a doctor, but I've done my research. There are risks with any treatment, but it's a chance Sarah deserves a chance to fight. Her plea tugged at Mark's heart, but the weight of history hung heavy. Why hadn't Sarah mentioned Lily? Was her sister truly back for altruistic reasons or something more complicated? Why now? Mark pushed, determination seeping into his voice. Why didn't you reach out sooner? I was scared, Lily admitted, tears pooling in her eyes. When we lost touch, it felt easier to stay away. But I've changed, and I can't stand by another moment. The honesty in her voice cracked through his defenses. He felt Jacob squeeze his hand tighter, sensing the swirling turmoil. Sometimes family was complicated, but the essence of connection and love could shine through even the darkest times. Mark took a breath, forced the fear down his throat, and locked eyes with Lily. If you really believe you can help her, then we have to try. But you need to understand, any decision we make won't be easy. It's going to change everything. Just then, a sudden commotion erupted outside the waiting area, pulling their attention. A sharp cry pierced through the chaos, and Mark's heart jolted. He turned, fearing the worst. The doctor was rushing back, expression morphed into an urgent command. Mark. We have an update on Sarah and her condition. We need to act quickly. Mark's breath hitched again. Would the news be more chaos? Or could it be the springboard for the revival of hope they so desperately needed? With the fate of his family hanging in the balance, Mark knew that the truth would soon come crashing down around them, shattering their uncertainty and propelling them through a threshold into the unknown. Let us go, he said, determination etched across his face. As they followed the doctor, each step felt monumental. With every heartbeat, they were faced with a choice, a decision that could either bring them together or pull them further apart. What awaited them just beyond those doors? Would they find the courage to embrace what lay ahead? Mark followed the doctor down the hallway, every step echoing the pulse of uncertainty and fear. Jacob gripped his hand tightly, a reminder of what was at stake. He felt torn between the hope that Lily offered and the growing dread of Sarah's condition. Eleanor walked close behind them, glancing at Mark, her expression a mirror of his own anxiety. As they approached the room, the fluorescent lights flickered overhead, casting shadows that danced eerily on the wall. The doctor paused outside, his expression solemn. Prepare yourselves, he said gently. Sarah has stabilized, but I need to lay out our options clearly. We're at a critical juncture. Mark nodded, steeling himself. He could feel the weight of Jacob's small hand in his, a lifeline tethering him to the heart of what truly mattered. Whatever it is, we're ready to listen, he replied, determination creeping into every word. The doctor led them inside, and Mark's breath halted as he took in Sarah's still form, surrounded by machines that beeped rhythmically, like a heartbeat in the sterile room. She looked fragile, but something about her presence filled him with a flicker of hope. Lily stood at the edge of the room, visibly shaken yet resolute. Sarah's heartbeat is strong, and we've got her stabilized for now, Dr. Stevens began, his tone both professional and compassionate. That said, we have to consider the experimental treatment option that Lily proposed. It could help her in ways we can't predict but carries risks. Mark felt the lump in his throat tighten. What kind of risks? He asked, urgency pressing through his worry. Dr. Stevens took a deep breath, gauging their reactions. We can't guarantee success. Additionally, there are potential side effects that we need to discuss. But time is of the essence, and Sarah's body is still under strain. Mom can beat this, Jacob said, his voice steady despite the uncertainty. She always finds a way. Mark glanced at his son, pride swelling in his chest. That's right. She's a fighter, he added, taking a deep breath. Lily stepped forward, her urgency meshing with an earnest plea. Every moment counts. If we wait too long, it could mean losing our chance. I know you have questions, but you've seen what she means to you. She deserves a shot at a full life. Mark hesitated, his mind a whirlpool of emotions. Family secrets, lingering memories, and fear all mingled together. But one thought pierced through, he couldn't let fear guide their decisions any longer. Okay. If you believe in this treatment, we'll give her that chance. But I want to know exactly what we're looking at. The doctor nodded, relief washing over him, as he began explaining the treatment plan. Jacob and Eleanor listened intently, their determination reflected in their expressions. Mark made sure to catch Lily's eye, hoping to glean trust and understanding about the sisterhood he never knew existed. In that moment, as they discussed next steps and the potential for Sarah to fight back, a flicker of movement caught Mark's eye. He turned quickly. Sarah's fingers twitched slightly, just a fraction, but it felt monumental. Did you see that? He gasped. Hope poured into the small room like sunlight breaking through clouds. That's it, Sarah. Jacob cheered. Come back to us. Stay with us. Mark urged, his voice trembling with emotion. Could the love they were pouring into the room really reach her? Don't stop talking to her, Lily encouraged, stepping closer. Let her feel how loved she is. Mark nodded, heart swollen with fierce love and the painful weight of anticipation. They began sharing stories, happy memories that flowed forth like a river, laughter intermingling with tears. Remember the summer we spent at the lake? Mark began, recalling a joyful trip full of sun-soaked days and laughter. We spent hours fishing and pretending you could outcatch me. Jacob chimed in, and Dad fell into the water after that huge fish. Okay. I might have lost my balance, Mark chuckled, shaking his head. But you, Sarah, you caught the biggest fish of the day, the one that got away in the end. It was the way you told the story that won over everyone, even the lifeguards. The energy in the room seemed to shift as they spoke. Each shared memory added a thread to their familial bond, weaving a tapestry of undeniable love around them. Every birthday party we planned together, Eleanor added, her voice soft but warm. You have to come back, Sarah. We need you to continue making those memories. Then, fleetingly, just as before, Sarah's fingers stirred again. Mark felt his breath hitch. Could it be that the essence of their love, the force of their unity, was enough to spark the flame of life back into her? Mom! Jacob exclaimed, hope igniting in his young heart. Just one more wiggle for us. Wiggle your toes, Sarah. Do it for us. Mark urged, feeling the palpable tension give way to unexpected joy. And then, it happened. Sarah's foot twitched ever so slightly, a defiant spark of life radiating beneath their care. The room erupted in an embrace of hope, and Mark felt his chest swell with emotion, a rush of relief cascading over him. Dr. Stevens. Did you see that? Mark exclaimed, dragging his eyes away from Sarah's delicate form to find the doctor, who had watched in astonishment. The doctor nodded, a smile breaking through the tension. That's promising. It's not uncommon for the body to respond to emotional stimuli. Let us keep this going. Lily said, her voice imbued with newfound energy. Oh Sarah, feel that love. You're stronger than any treatment. Remember who you are. Surrounded by family both familiar and newfound, Mark understood that they were forging a new path together. They all shared this fight, united by love, determined to rescue Sarah from whatever lay ahead. It was not just about treatment or secrets of the past, it was about family, hope, and the unbreakable bond of love woven through every memory they shared. Together, we'll pull you through, Sarah, Mark vowed. No matter the challenges, we'll face them as a family. In that moment, all doubt melted away, replaced by a fierce commitment to holding on to hope. Mark felt empowered, not just as a father and a husband, but as part of a new family, a vibrant tapestry of hearts that now included both Sarah and Lily. As the night wore on, Mark understood that healing was a journey, but they were ready to embrace it together, willing to uncover every truth along the way. They would fight for Sarah, and in doing so, they would discover who they truly were as a family, a beautiful work in progress, full of love, laughter, and the promise of tomorrow. The path ahead was still uncertain, but one thing was clear: they would find their way through. And as they sat, connected by stories and laughter, the bright light of hope filled the room, illuminating the shadows that once loomed so large. Now was the moment to act, to subscribe to new beginnings and celebrate the love that could lead them toward healing. If you've been inspired by this journey, subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support. This is the moment. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending below, and share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand the power of supporting the journey together.